I was a rideshare driver, working the late-night shift to make extra cash. The streets were desolate, the city lights flickering against the cold pavement. It was nearly 2 a.m. when my phone chimed. A new ride request. The pickup location was an old abandoned gas station on the outskirts of town. I hesitated. There was no reason for anyone to be there at this hour, but the pay was double the usual rate. With a sigh, I accepted the request and drove towards the location. As I pulled up, the station was dark, its windows broken, the fuel pumps rusted relics of the past. There was no one in sight. A chill ran down my spine as I unlocked the passenger door. "Your ride's here," I called out, my voice barely above a whisper. The back door creaked open and a wave of cold air rushed into the car. I glanced at the rearview mirror, but the seat appeared empty. My stomach twisted. Maybe I imagined it. Then came the breathing, slow, deep, right behind me. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white. "Where to?" I asked, my voice shaking. The app showed a drop-off point, Blackwood Cemetery. My blood ran cold. I started driving, each mile stretching unbearably. The city lights faded, replaced by the looming darkness of the forest road. The temperature inside the car plummeted. My breath fogged up the windshield, though it wasn't cold outside. I glanced at the mirror again, and this time, a shadow sat in the back seat. A woman, pale, eyes sunken, her dress tattered as if she had been buried in it. Her lips curled into a twisted grin. "Faster," she whispered. My pulse pounded in my ears. I pressed the gas, the car speeding through the deserted road. The cemetery gates loomed ahead, rusted and open, as if waiting for me. My phone buzzed. A notification from the rideshare app. "Your passenger has reached their destination." My heart stopped. The woman was gone. The back door opened and shut on its own. I slammed my foot on the gas, desperate to leave, but the engine sputtered and died. Silence engulfed me. Then, something tapped on my window. I turned slowly. A hand, decayed and skeletal, pressed against the glass. The whisper came again. "Drive me home," I screamed. The next morning, my car was found abandoned at the cemetery gates, doors open, engine running. I was never seen again. The night had started like any other. The city at night was a different world. Dark, mysterious, filled with quiet streets and the occasional lone pedestrian hurrying home. I'd been driving for hours, picking up drunks from bars, exhausted workers, and the occasional eerie loner who sat in the back, staring out the window without a word. I'd seen my fair share of strange things, but nothing could have prepared me for what was about to happen. My phone vibrated again, breaking the silence in the car. Another ride request. The map showed the pickup point, a location far beyond my usual routes. The gas station had long been abandoned, and yet someone had requested a ride from there. I frowned. Probably some lost traveler, or maybe just a prank. But the pay was too good to ignore. I tapped accept and turned my car in that direction. The drive was quiet, unnervingly so. The usual city ambience faded as I entered the outskirts. Street lights were scarce, and the shadows seemed to stretch longer than they should. The old gas station finally came into view. It was worse than I expected. Completely dilapidated, graffiti-covered walls, shattered windows. I stopped the car and waited. No one emerged from the darkness. The app still indicated the passenger was here. "Hello? Your ride is here," I called out, my voice barely audible over the wind rustling through the abandoned structure. The back door creaked open. I felt a sudden drop in temperature, as a wave of cold air rushed into the car. My hands trembled as I checked the rear view mirror. The seat was empty. I swallowed hard, my heart pounding in my chest. This had to be a joke. Maybe some idiot kids playing around. Then I heard it. Breathing. Slow, deep, right behind me. I froze. My fingers clutched the steering wheel as I forced myself to turn my head. The seat remained empty, but the presence was undeniable. "Where to?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. The app updated. Blackwood Cemetery. My throat tightened. Blackwood was a place no one willingly visited at night. Legends swirled around it. Stories of vengeful spirits, disappearances, voices that whispered from the graves. I almost cancelled the ride. Almost, but some unseen force made me shift the gear into drive. The car moved forward as if compelled by something beyond my control. The further we drove, the colder it became inside. My breath turned to mist, and the windows fogged up despite the warm summer night outside. The road stretched into nothingness, illuminated only by my headlights. Trees loomed like silent watchers on either side, their gnarled branches clawing at the sky. I glanced at the mirror again and nearly veered off the road. A shadow had formed in the back seat. Not just a shadow, her. She sat there, her hands folded in her lap, her pale face half hidden by strands of dark, tangled hair. The dress she wore was torn and covered in dirt, as if she had been pulled straight from a grave. "Faster," she whispered, her voice like dry leaves in the wind. Every nerve in my body screamed to stop the car, to jump out and run, but I couldn't. My hand stayed locked on the wheel. My foot pressed harder on the gas pedal as if following her command. The cemetery gates loomed ahead, rusted and open, waiting. Then my phone vibrated. "Your passenger has reached their destination." A breath of relief escaped my lips, but when I turned back, she was gone. But the nightmare wasn't over. The car wouldn't move. I slammed my foot on the gas, but the engine groaned, refusing to start. A dense fog crept in from the cemetery, curling around the car like ghostly fingers. My breath hitched as I noticed the shadows moving between the graves. Whispering voices filled the air, a cacophony of sorrow and rage. Then, the back door creaked open again. I didn't dare look back. The whispers grew louder, turning into agonized wails. Cold fingers brushed against my neck. My hands trembled as I fumbled for the door handle, desperate to escape. A voice, chilling and familiar, whispered in my ear, "You can't leave. You belong to us now." Darkness swallowed the world around me. I never left Blackwood Cemetery.